So, I didn't stop playing Red Dead Redemption in the end because a long time ago I had watched a YouTube video which was just a compilation of the whole, like all the story missions and cutscenes and everything. And it was important to me in my memory, the story, and so I wanted to play it. Because I guess I'm experiencing it again. I'm experiencing it firsthand this time instead of just watching somebody else go through it. And I don't know if it was really worth the time and money, but I liked the aesthetic of the game and like you being a cool gunslinger. It's fun. But I don't think I really got anything much out of it, except that I'll probably be even more cautious with my purchases in the future when it comes to video games. Because I think if I could go back in time, I would probably just not have bought it in the first place. Because I don't think I really got anything out of it. Aside from, well, more frustration and irritation. Because the game has like anti-white anti-white man stuff in it, anti-white male Christian things in it, basically. And Red Dead Redemption 2 I have played, and it was a lot like that as well. It's the sort of thing where it's subtle enough. Um, I think people don't really realize that they're consuming that propaganda, but they definitely are. So, the game opens up. I'm just gonna talk about, spoilers for both games. I'm just gonna talk about them. They're older games now. Apparently, I think Red Dead 2 came out in 2018, I think, which is crazy, but wow, it's been out for a while, I guess. Anyway, I'm just gonna talk about both the games. Um, Red Dead 2 was definitely worse about it, in my opinion. But basically, what the games do essentially is they'll make white, except for the main characters. Because despite the like racism and like the white Christian hatred in these games, or not really hatred, it's more of a resentment. Um, you know, Even though that's all there, the main characters and the important players in the game's narratives are white guys. So like you got the white guys are the main characters, the player characters, and the villains. And like almost everything that important happens because of a white guy doing something that like made it happen, right? Um, and the side characters are women and natives and black people. Like anybody who's not a white guy is like a side character in these games. So it's a hypocritical thing because it's like you can tell that they're making these characters who aren't white guys second class in the games, um, by how they serve the narrative and the story and their role, um, and how much effect they're able to have in the story. But the game Red Dead 1 opens basically by criticizing white colonization of America, because it just has John listening to conversations of strangers on a train, and it's basically it just has people that sound really stupid when they're talking about about colonizing and when they're talking about religion. You'll notice that in these games, unless if like a main character makes an offhand reference about God, um, even though these characters don't really follow God or like really have anything to do with God at all. Like that's the most like John Marston, he believes in God, right? But he mentions God like once in the like so he mentions God once in the entire game by himself, like without some other person bringing it up. And he mentions the Bible, he calls it the good book. And both of the times are at the end of Red Dead 1, like in this epilogue section when he's talking to his son Jack. And that's the only times I can remember him having any sort of interest in Christianity or Christian morals at all. Um, so like the game is kind of acknowledging like if you're in that time, it's not like today where like it's almost a 50-50 role whether or not somebody's an atheist. Um, but the games are they criticize they're not going to criticize like Native American religion, but they will criticize Christianity, and they're criticizing God in that way too. I mean, because the thing is like a character like I don't know if Arthur Morgan's a Christian, but a character like John Marston, um, basically the game doesn't let his belief in God mean anything because they don't want him to be the kind of person that obeys the Bible because they are antichrist spiritually. The people who made this game. That's why like I mentioned when you're playing the game like these games are designed with an antichrist spirit because you go around shooting people and stealing and murdering, and like there's that scene where they burn down a church, um and the religious people in these games, the Christian people, are always portrayed as stupid and like ignorant, um and it's just that's the spirit of like a lot of the design of these games. And so, like Red Dead opens basically like making fun of white Christians, um, like just right off the bat. Like it's in the opening cutscene of the game because it will puts these like stupid people in your face. And the thing is that there's actually people who are like, I mean, they're dumb people who believe in God, and that there are dumb people who believe in God who are like racist or whatever. So it's not even necessarily like it's something that is totally out of the question of being possible. Like it's not even necessarily unrealistic. But the thing is there's basically no positive um, representation of Christianity whatsoever, and it's always like it's made fun of because it's like, well, in Red Dead 2, the one guy who is I forget what his name is. He's with the gang, but he's like a preacher, but he's a drunk and he's like stupid and useless. Like that's how basically the game has a way of treating its Christian characters as bad. Like it just makes them stupid or incompetent or anything like that. And it does the same thing for white guys, unless if you're talking about the main characters or the villains. Um, because like a lot of the white male characters in the game, with the exception of a few lawmen or like a few gunslingers, like if you're not a gunslinger in these games and you're a white guy, you're basically a stupid idiot who is like just like I don't know. Like the game is just disrespectful to you if you're not a white man gunslinger. or a minority or a woman. Um, and I'm going off on like so many different paths here, but I could talk about this for a long time. So like, I wrote about this in a Discord earlier actually. Um, I don't remember everything that I said, but it's like all the villains in these games are white guys too. Almost always. Not all the time, but it's almost always. Um, and the thing is there are times in these games where your character is stealing from and committing murder, like of these white guys. And I can't, I just think like, in combat, when you, after you like steal from somebody and then they catch you stealing from them, then they start shooting at you, and you're shooting back at these white guys. The thing is people would realize uh, how flawed the ethics are of these games if you were fighting more like just people of other races or of women. Like people would realize immediately because these games have extremely flawed ethics. That's the phrase. I forget what his name is, but the main villain of Red Dead Redemption 1, there's a part where John Marston and him are talking, or the villain is kind of monologuing. And the thing is, he's kind of right. Like, he's actually entirely right because basically, like, John doesn't like him because this guy is enforcing the law. And also, it is kind of BS that um, they took Abigail and Jack Marston and like they took them prisoner. I mean, I don't think Abigail is necessarily innocent. Jack is, though, pretty much. I mean, what are they supposed to do if they incarcerate the kid's parents? Like, what are you supposed to do besides take him as well? Like, they didn't do anything wrong to Jack. They just took him after they, incarcerated his parents. Anyway, the whole story of Red Dead Redemption 1, they shouldn't have sent John on the whole mission anyway. They should have just, like, if they wanted to put him in prison, they should have just done that. Or if they wanted to execute him, they should have just done that. But John acts like he is treated unjustly, and I mean, at the end of the game, they kind of go back on their deal that which they shouldn't have made this deal if they were going to go back on it. So sure, in that particular instance. But the thing is John is not a good person. I mean, not even by like, I mean, I would say that nobody is a good person. As a Christian, I would say that. But not even by normal people's worldly man standards is John Marston a good person because there are times in Red Dead 1, even after everything that happened in Red Dead 2, which is the prequel, where John doesn't seem to understand that Dutch was always a bad leader and he was always like the bad guy. And he also doesn't seem to see anything wrong with like killing people and stealing from them in Red Dead 1 when it's convenient for him. Because especially in the first section of the game, there is there is a like at least one instance where you're trying to acquire this machine gun, I think it was, and you basically go to this mine full of miners and hardworking people who, to my knowledge, like they weren't part of an evil gang or anything. They were just miners, like who occupied the mine. And so John just goes there and opens fire and he kills everybody and then steals the machine gun. I mean, you just murdered like 30 people minimum. And John acts like he should be able to go back to his ranch and hang out with his wife and son, and it's like I think he should be in prison now. I don't know, but like when you're playing the game, you as the player don't have a choice with what missions you're taking to accomplish your goals. But John Marston is the one who is really choosing to do these missions, and realistically, he could have gone about things in different ways than the ways that he did. But he does a lot of really bad things in his quest, and it's just kind of shrugged off because, I mean, everything that he doesn't disrespect women, and he's not racist, basically. So there's nothing wrong with what he's doing, according to the game, basically. You know, he's just like, well, he's just a quirky outlaw who sometimes shoots and kills people. Like it's chill, but I mean, he's not killing women, and um he's not racist, so it's fine. Like that's basically the ethics of Red Dead. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is it's actually like an unironic thing. They actually believe it at that point. Cuz I don't know if in Red Dead 1 there was actually this agenda, or we're just seeing things through John's point of view. But the villain was definitely like hit the nail on the head. I'm really surprised that like I've never heard anybody talk about that before, cuz I don't really remember the whole speech or anything. There was like a speech that this lawman gave to John when he's like telling him like, hey, like you're not even a good person, like, and civilization, civilization might be lame and dull, but is the alternative really like better? No, it's not. Like, and he's got such a massive point there. It's like, and throughout the game you see that he has a point because a place like Blackwater might be boring. Yes, it is boring, and yes, it is lame and gay, and civilization isn't exciting. And yes, you look a lot cooler being a gunslinger out in the Wild West with a cowboy hat and your gun. But when you're out in the Wild West, and there's no law, then what happens is like the different wild gangs that are running around can come to your ranch and they can steal your cattle and kill everybody and take what they want. And like the game shows you that happening like at different points. These evil people would go and like kill the people that were living out on the frontier and do what they wanted to them. Horrible stuff. And the game has like John Marston has this whole attitude of like, well, the law is bad because you should just let people do what they want. Okay, John, but the thing is we're trying to make it so that people don't get murdered and stolen from. Like, do you understand why that's bad? Um, John can take care of himself, so he doesn't really understand that, I guess. Um, yeah, I don't know. And it's weird how like the game acts like the white man is stupid, but they're the ones who are industrializing everything with all the cool technology, and they like roll out with a Jeep with a machine gun on the back of it. It's like it's like the white man's right. Like, now we've got the machine gun. It's like, watch out. I don't know. I thought that moment was so funny late in the game when you drive out onto the plane with a machine gun in the back of a car, and there's like these Indian guys running around who are part of Dutch's gang now, and it's just like the white man, well, the white man is here, he's got a machine gun. It was like, cause the game, I suppose that's its way of showing that the white man is evil because of his industrialization. But the thing is all of these Indian guys were bad, like people who were killing people and stealing, like they're murderers. And like throughout the game, they're trying to portray white people as dumb, but they're also apparently smart enough to do all of this and to conquer you. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's oxymoronic. Um, and it's also like, oh, and white people are so bad, but you play as a white man the whole time, like throughout the game and after the epilogue of both games. Um, and like every major player in the games, to my knowledge, because I didn't get too far into Red Dead 2, but like almost every major player, as in like the characters of the story, are white men. It's like it's so weird because it's like there's this pedestalization of the white guy, and then side characters are they're black or they're women or something like that. It's like the game is consciously doing this, and then it's resenting white men for some reason. Like after doing that, it's like if you wanted to make a game, um, like because if you wanted to make statements about racism, you could at least not be racist in your own game the way that you constructed it. Because what I was thinking is like if you wanted to make a game where you're an Indian person and you do like you live the life of an Indian out in the wild. That's the kind of game that a lot of us would play. That's the kind of game that you dream of people making when you're a young boy and then just nobody ever makes it for some reason. Like why did nobody ever make a game where you play as an Indian out in the wild and you do your Indian stuff and you go hunting and things like that and you act like an Indian. It's just did nobody ever play cowboys versus Indians when they were kids? You know what I mean? It's like that would be fun. That'd be cool. But the game itself it has you as the white guy. It's just that you're the cool white guy, like who he's handsome, he's skilled with a gun, and he doesn't like the law. Like he doesn't like the rules. He's like a decent fellow because he'll only kill other white guys or like other men who happen to be shooting at him at the time. Um, he'll only murder and steal from white guys, but he respects women and minorities. So it's he's a cool guy. It's there's definitely some flawed ethics here. I don't even know if Red Dead 1 did that on purpose because that was such like a that line stuck out to me so much because it's like every time that what is his name Ross? Is that his name? Edgar Ross, I think so. Like the main villain of Red Dead 1 at the end. Um he would make like him and like John were talking at some different points and he would say something to John that like he'd make his own point, like a logical argument to justify his existence and his job as a lawman and like doing the things that he's doing. And then John would just say like, "Well, you're lame and gay, and I'm cooler than you and more handsome than you." And like that was basically like John didn't have anything to say. He would just say like, "Oh, well, you would shoot a man in the back." Like that was it. Like there was no logical argument that John could do because John isn't even a very smart guy. Like he isn't in either of the games. Like it's not a character feature of his. And maybe the game does that on purpose where he can't really pull up an argument. Um, but I think it's really just because there's no argument that he could that's actually there because Edgar Ross like the bad guys are kind of right. And like obviously they shouldn't have killed John by the end of the game. I mean, depending on how you play the game, like whether or not even if you play in like the highest honor possible way you can, John still does terrible things. Like he goes around murdering people. And they'll even say like you've been a public menace. Like cuz you just have been. Like you've done crazy stuff. Um and like cheated people and stole from people and killed people. And then, John just has the gall to be like, well, I'm trying to change. It's like, well, not really, and you never really did change. You don't even believe anything new. Because even in Red Dead 1, before Red Dead 2 existed, um, John is still acting like Dutch used to be this freedom fighter or something, when really he wasn't. Like, you gotta be able to see through that when you're playing Red Dead 2. Like, from the beginning of the game, you can kind of see through things that Dutch is saying. Um, like, people are saying that Dutch became evil. It's like he really didn't change, like, as a character. I now, I guess I didn't fully play through the game, but just from starting the game and like the first few chapters, you can see that Dutch is full of it. Like, if you're just paying attention, like, whatsoever, you can just see that, like, his words, like, you can tell, like, even the actor, like, played out this character as like he's acting, like he's putting on a show for his own gang, and he's like trying to be this charismatic leader. But he's full of it. I remember in the prologue of Red Dead 2, there is one moment, and I just saw this actually in a video earlier. He's saying, like, after the whole Blackwater incident that took place before Red Dead 2, Dutch is talking about that, and there's like people that died over there, that were in the gang, and Dutch is saying, now if I could throw myself in the ground in their stead, I would. Now, it's possible that Dutch believes what he's saying when he's saying that, but the truth is no, he would not, bro. No, he wouldn't. And if you believe that, I mean, you just got tricked by his charisma. Like, but I think that he's actually just straight up not telling the truth there. Um, the thing is, he's just a charismatic liar, and these games actually do romanticize this outlaw life, especially Red Dead 2. It's so bad. Like, I hate it when I'm reading YouTube comments and people are saying these soy things like Arthur Morgan was a good man. You're a good man, Arthur Morgan. Just because you stole and murdered from all those people, at least you're not racist and sexist. It pisses me off so bad. At least you're a gentleman, Arthur Morgan. I know you murdered people and you stole from them and you lied and cheated and you beat up people because they didn't pay their impossible debts. But you're a good man, Arthur Morgan, because you're good to animals and children and women and minorities. It's a joke. Um, and I'm not saying that, like, so apparently Arthur actually redeems himself pretty good near the end of Red Dead 2, which again I didn't get like to the ending of it. I'm not condemning Arthur, but like if he was a real person, I wouldn't really. That's not the point of what I'm saying. But you shouldn't be looking to a mere man as a role model, and you shouldn't be calling a mere man a good person, especially when that man is a murderer and a thief. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I think that Arthur has a lot of that charm, like, despite being a terrible person throughout most of the game. He just has charm because he's handsome and, he's manly and he's nice to women and minorities. Like, that's, like, and you obviously should be those things if you can be. But it's not like, for some reason, it excuses to people when he's murdering, like, these lawmen and stuff, like after stealing, or like when he lets Micah out of prison and they just shoot up that town. It's like, you're a terrible person. You're an awful person. Um, And the thing is people would recognize if they would recognize that these characters were doing awful things if during those sequences there was any women that were like part of like the lawman squad. Like I know it's not, it wouldn't be realistic. Not that a lot of things in the game are realistic, but I'm saying if there were like female lawmen or law women, right? And you were shooting at them, everyone would realize that what you were doing was wrong because they would see that they were women that you were shooting at them. And I know this because there's so like in Red Dead 2, there is like a feminist character in the game, and there was like a whole scandal because of the fact that the game like technically gives you the option, like you could kill this person if you wanted to because the game gives you that much freedom, right? It's like you can go around and you can kill these women, but like just because the thing is the game doesn't endorse that, obviously. It has that possibility. Actually, like there are times when it endorses murder. Like there's this eugenics guy in Red Dead 2. If you shoot him, you gain honor. Like even though you literally just killed a guy. Like yeah, he's racist. You shouldn't shoot somebody in the face for that though. Um, but like everybody knows, killing a woman is wrong. But we don't all know that killing a man is wrong. Um, even at the beginning of Red Dead 2, actually, somebody makes a comment about how in the Blackwater incident, Dutch apparently killed a girl, and they're like, "Oh, Dutch killed a girl." It's like, yeah, you people murder people every day. Like, yeah, do you see what I'm saying? Like, when you're the player too, you're also like, "Oh, that's messed up." Like, you killed a girl? Dang. Like, because we're just all like instinctually like, whoa, that's bad. Like you shouldn't kill a woman. Like obviously, yeah. But the thing is, there's not an attitude of that attitude is gone. If you shot a man, nobody cares. That's the thing. It's like nobody cares. If you shot a man, if you beheaded a man, like nobody would care. That's the thing. So yes, these games have flawed ethics. Um, very much. And these games have like an anti-white guy, anti-Christ thing going on, and it annoys me. And then, I can still enjoy the games, kind of. I kind of want to actually play Red Dead 2 now after playing through 1. But what is that thing? We disavow. We disavow these games and their ethical lessons, like because they're trash, they're garbage. Um, but I still think that violence in video games is kind of messed up. The thing is, I still enjoy it too. I mean, I guess that I do like I do like gunplay. I grew up on this thing on like first person shooters and third person shooters and games like Assassin's Creed. Um, I've grown up on violent games, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. Um, and you might be like, well, that makes you a hypocrite. It's like, well, I mean, okay. I mean, I can definitely accept that in this instance because it is just a game. Like, I'm not actually going and murdering people, so. But you know what it is. It's not something I'm not proud of like playing these games. You know what I mean? I'm not proud of it. Anyway, I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to say. These games are definitely like there's some racism going on against there's some white resentment basically. Um, I don't like it.